At my own birthday celebration, my girlfriend remarked, "I can't share this photo. You appear less affluent beside me." I replied, "All right." Then I rose, grabbed the microphone, and displayed to everyone at the gathering the earlier photos of her that I'd kept. Before I covered the costs for her vehicle, her housing, and her facial surgery. Not precisely how I envisioned celebrating my 32nd birthday, but that's where things stand. First, a bit of context. I was raised in a blue-collar household, worked tirelessly through engineering college with scholarships and side gigs, and launched my own technology firm in 2017. The initial 3 years were tough. Instant noodles for meals, crashing on buddies' sofas, the full startup struggle stereotype. But toward the end of 2020, we created a cybersecurity tool that attracted interest from big-name customers, and abruptly, finances stopped being a worry. We're not discussing billionaire status, but sufficient that I don't glance at my balance before purchases. I still operate a 2015 Honda and cycle through the same handful of nerdy teas because, truthfully, flashy items don't appeal to me. My folks taught me to prioritize stability over showy displays. I'd prefer to put money into investments or memorable trips rather than flaunt luxury brands. I encountered Tiffany in early 2021 at a fundraising gala. She was employed by the charity organizing it, managing contributors, and appearing breathtaking in the process. What attracted me was her deep commitment to the kids' learning program they were supporting. She articulated thoughtfully about providing chances for children from disadvantaged families. It connected with me deeply, as I'd been one of those students relying on aid to complete university. We connected right away. She was gorgeous, sure, but also truly engaged with my background and my firm's goals. Our opening months as a couple were wonderful. We'd engage in profound discussions on topics ranging from societal disparities to advancements in technology. She brought me to museums and high-end eateries. I shared with her my beloved local spots and introduced her to science fiction films. Around 6 months later, in autumn 2021, she brought up her money troubles. The charity role compensated poorly, and she was considering exiting the field entirely to survive. It saddened me greatly. Here was an individual dedicated to impactful work she adored, pushed out due to finances. I proposed assisting with certain bills until the charity's next grant round, when a salary increase was expected. It began modestly, handling her car installment 1 month when funds were tight, assisting with housing costs after her roommate abruptly left, all under the agreement that this was short-term aid to allow her to remain in her fulfilling position. Then, in spring 2022, a health concern arose. She'd long felt self-conscious about her nose, damaged in a teen accident. Her insurance declined to cover the repair, labeling it elective. She experienced real discomfort, including difficulty breathing and recurring sinus issues. Witnessing her suffering, I volunteered to fund the procedure. It wasn't a difficult choice. I possessed the resources to ease the pain of someone I loved. By summer 2022, her charity faced a major donor loss and reduced workforce. Tiffany was crushed. She relocated to my home during her search for new employment, and I assisted in securing a dependable vehicle since her previous one failed repeatedly amid job hunts. The agreement was under my name due to her credit history, allowing for superior terms. Once more, these felt like contributions to our shared future, not charity. I could manage it comfortably, and it appeared the proper way to support a loved one in hardship. By early 2023, she secured a position at an advertising firm with improved compensation but reduced purpose. She expressed a desire for independent living again, which made sense. Our cohabitation had stemmed from circumstance, not preference. I aided in locating a pleasant residence, and as the owner needed stable income proof she lacked at the time, I co-guaranteed the contract. The plan was for me to cover rent temporarily until she stabilized in the role. Slowly, however, I observed shifts. Tiffany spent increasing hours with a fresh circle of friends, all social media personalities with apparent endless spending power. Her clothing evolved from practical workwear to high-end labels. She grew fixated on personal branding and online visibility. The thoughtful talks on community issues faded, supplanted by chats about audience numbers and interaction rates. Initially, I chalked her shopping up to her higher earnings, but the figures didn't match. When I softly inquired, she cited sponsorships and collaborations yielding complimentary items. Eventually, I learned she was also overloading credit lines to sustain the lifestyle. Yet, I rationalized it. She was adapting to a professional shift, building networks. Moreover, following the operation and wardrobe refresh, she appeared truly content and self-assured. If my achievements enabled that joy, wasn't it positive? As time passed, a peculiar pattern emerged where she'd occasionally present me lavish presents. A luxury timepiece one time, a premium coat another. Despite her own shaky finances, these seemed geared more toward her online posts. My wonderful partner sporting the designer piece I gifted him, than my preferences. My birthday arrived recently, and Tiffany pushed for a grand event at a posh location. I'm not fond of spotlight, but her enthusiasm for organizing won me over. She invited a blend of my true companions and her influencer acquaintances. The affair was opulent, far beyond my typical choice, but enjoyable watching old dorm mates interact with coworkers and locals. Tiffany thrived as host, stunning in an outfit likely exceeding my home loan installment. At dinner, a suggestion arose for a group picture. We posed, and a longtime pal snapped several on my device. Reviewing them later, I found them excellent. Smiles all around, nice ambience, ideal keepsake. I showed Tiffany, anticipating she'd request copies. Instead, she scowled and scrolled quickly. "I can't share these," she murmured. "What's wrong?" I questioned. She paused, then whispered, "Truthfully, you seem kinda low and next to me. Why didn't you wear the designer coat I bought? It's awkward." The coat was my go-to, a quality, cozy item owned for ages. Not extravagant, but far from worn out. Crucially, it was a present from my parents upon my initial engineering placement. It held deep meaning. In that moment, something broke within me. Years of subtle insights converged suddenly. This wasn't the person I'd fallen for. That version had been an illusion, or perhaps a fleeting stage of the individual before me now. "Fine," I responded evenly. Then I stood. The spot featured a modest platform where a quartet had performed earlier. I approached, seized the mic, and tested it for attention. The crowd hushed. "Thank you all for being here tonight. Having you gathered means the world." Guests lifted drinks, grinning in anticipation. Tiffany appeared puzzled yet happy, likely thinking I'd praise her hosting skills. "I'd like to share a quick tale with you, a before and after account." That afternoon, I'd inquired about the venue's tech setup for possible remarks. They demonstrated connecting my device to their display, confirming functionality. I linked my phone to the system. The big screen activated with an image of Tiffany from our beginning. Stunning as always, but authentically so. Slightly asymmetrical nose, everyday outfits, authentic grin. "This is the lady I fell in love with 2 years back," I stated. Dedicated to improving education access, brimming with compassion and insight. I advanced to another early shot. Tiffany in casual pants and top at a service project, refreshing a classroom in a needy district. This is who devoted weekends to upgrading facilities in struggling neighborhoods, convinced every child merits an inspiring learning space. Tiffany's face shifted from bewilderment to dread. She began approaching the platform. I continued swiping, revealing her old beat-up sedan with taped repairs. This was her ride. Not glamorous, but she cherished it as a symbol of her independent earnings from charity work. Next, her modest, eclectic flat, and her home with the unreliable roommate, whom Tiffany often bailated out because stable shelter matters for all. Tiffany now stood at the stage's base, enraged and humiliated. Then the transformations occurred, I went on. I displayed post-procedure images, luxury attire, the fresh auto, social media boasts of high-end items, portrayed as her solo achievements via ambiguous ventures. Here's Tiffany today, elegant, fashionable in a superb residence. And moments ago, she informed me she's ashamed to appear in pictures with me because I seem too modest for her image. The venue fell utterly quiet. Even Tiffany stood motionless. The twist is, I funded every bit. The facial correction, she said, was health-related. $20,000. The vehicle payments? $800 monthly. The housing? $2,400. The outfits, accessories, bags she parades online as proof of her independent success. All covered by the man who now apparently seems too plain for her feeds. I paused the mic, breathed deeply, and met her gaze. "I never resented helping you, Tiffany. What hurt was you becoming someone ashamed to stand by the person who made it possible, because his attire isn't costly enough for your online persona." The quiet was profound. Some avoided eye contact with dishes. Others gawked, glancing back and forth. "So this feels appropriate to declare our relationship has ended. The housing contract I co-guaranteed. I'll notify the owner of my intent to withdraw as backer with the required 30 days. The auto agreement in my name must transfer to you or return within that window. And this gathering, the final one on my tab. Cheers to my birthday. I placed the mic down, exited the stage, and moved toward the door. My nearest pals quickly joined, shielding me as we departed. Behind, whispers escalated to chaos. Outside, my university buddy Pete shook his head. Man, that was simultaneously epic and devastating. You holding up? I wasn't, but recovery would come. Tiffany flooded my messages for the following 2 days, cycling through sorrowful regrets, harsh blame, and pleading negotiations. I blocked her on the 3rd. Via shared contacts, I learned she'd uploaded an emotional video claiming I controlled her through finances, and then shamed her openly. It didn't garner the support she anticipated, particularly with party attendees commenting their versions of events. Returning home after a short stay elsewhere, I saw she'd removed most belongings. She'd been dividing time between places for months, slowly shifting to hers as work improved, so little remained. Nonetheless, I updated locks and had my attorney prepare documents detailing the separation of finances. 2 weeks have passed. I've consulted legal counsel to ensure clean disentanglement. The residence firm received notice of my removal from the contract, providing Tiffany 30 days to requalify solo or secure another backer. I've coordinated with the auto dealer for transfer if she meets criteria or surrender post-notice. I've updated credentials and monitored credit closely. The feelings are tougher to resolve. I repeatedly wonder how I overlooked warnings, how I persuaded myself I was aiding her aspirations when enabling her shift into someone who belittled me. The woman in those initial images with the imperfect nose and true zeal for youth aid, I still long for her. But I'm beginning to realize she may never have truly been or vanished gradually. My circle has been outstanding, especially pre-success friends. They've reaffirmed that kindness wasn't the issue, it was misdirected. They've stayed over, pulled me to bars, and listened to vents without critique. I'm posting this as a warning narrative. Wealth alters dynamics oddly. It doesn't make you weak to aid a partner. But when aid turns to expected privilege, when gratitude morphs to shame over association, that's the signal to leave, regardless of prior commitment. Lastly, the charity where we met continues vital efforts. I've established ongoing contributions via my business without name attachment. I still support their cause despite the sour link to one ex-staffer. Certain visions remain worthy even post-disappointment. Edit. Numerous individuals have messaged with inquiries and thoughts on this matter. Here are answers to frequent ones. Some wonder if exposing her changes was vengeful. Perhaps somewhat. It was an impulsive response to accumulated frustration. Not thrilled about the public aspect, but I defend the facts. Attendees merited understanding the reality. Others query initial financial aid. It wasn't purchasing loyalty. At start, it enabled dedicated work in underpaid, meaningful role. Having achieved comfort, sharing to sustain a partner's purpose seemed correct. The issue arose from her evolution. Regarding saved early photos, no premeditated dossier. Just standard couple snapshots on my device. The differences grew obvious over time. Many shared parallel experiences of partners altering with money access. Sadly prevalent. On overlooked signs, she phased out cause discussions, called charity days roughing it. Made light jabs at my style and ride, altered demeanor around influencer pals, prioritized costly items over shared moments. For worries on my stability, all good. Costs were affordable. Not immune to impact, but no harm to business or future. To those advising future matches in wealth bracket, not the takeaway. Economic alignment helps, but shared principles trump. I'd choose modest means with authentic bond over rich but material-focused. Update, 4 months on, April 2024. Life delivers surprises unexpectedly. Roughly a month post prior note, I got contact from Christina, head of the charity Tiffany left. She'd learned of events, tight-knit circles, and checked on continued corporate support. We grabbed coffee to review upcoming projects. Christina has led the group nearly 10 years, rejecting high-pay private roles for the cause. She's sharp, motivated, and direct. A brief meet stretched to 3 hours discussing learning equity, tech in low-resource areas, and corporate real-world contributions beyond donations. We've dated around 3 months, vastly unlike with Tiffany. Christina is secure professionally, owns her simple home, and never critiques my auto or wardrobe. Outings include nature walks, local happenings, or home-cooked meals. When I proposed funding a needed initiative, she required official nonprofit procedures, clear boundaries. Regarding Tiffany, she requalified for housing solo after a higher marketing role. The vehicle returned, payments too steep. Reports say she's with a small-time TV figure. Her feeds show exotic trips and luxury acquires, funding unclear. I hope the best but feel only freedom viewing them. The birthday coat remains in my wardrobe. I donned it for initial outing with Christina, who praised it unknowingly. Sharing the backstory later, her words stuck. Items linking us to origins are invaluable. No high-end tag matches that. Uncertain future, but foundation feels strong. Aligned priorities, mutual respect for autonomy, deep connection unrelated to possessions. If a moral, perhaps the ideal match requires no enhancements or upkeep. They simply merit appreciation as is. To all who supported through this, gratitude. The initial post-split period was rougher than admitted, and community helped immensely. If this tale helps one spot ignored signs, positives emerged.